Massive strikes happened in critical locations in Yemen overnight, marking the first time in months Israel struck the Houthi hotbed after their ballistic missile hit Ben Gurion airport on Sunday. Simultaneously, the IDF targeted former Assad regime military infrastructure in Syria in order to protect the Druze communities in Syria and eliminate potential threats to Israel's security. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, the IDF targeted 3 Hezbollah sites, including a strategic weapons manufacturing and storage site in the Bekaa Valley. This afternoon, the IDF also issued an unprecedented evacuation order for Sana's international airport before conducting heavy airstrikes in Sana'a, Yemen, along with the United States. According to Houthi media, the Israeli airstrikes completely destroyed the Sana'a International Airport terminal, as well as all civilian aircraft and service facilities at the airport. Additionally, 2 power plants in Sana'a were destroyed, along with a concrete factory in the north of the city. ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian recaps last night's developments.
Fires were seen in this video roaring overnight in the Houthi-held port city of Hodeidah in Yemen, after the IDF says they carried out airstrikes in response to a ballistic missile strike that hit Ben Gurion airport and left several people injured. 20 Israeli fighter jets targeted the Hodeidah port in Yemen, with the military saying the jets dropped 50 munitions on Houthi targets, including infrastructure and a concrete factory. The IDF says the Iranian-backed Houthis used the port to transfer Iranian weapons, equipment for military needs, and other terror purposes. Meanwhile, Israel says the concrete factory they targeted in Bajil, Yemen, was used for building tunnels and military infrastructure. Since fighting renewed in the Gaza Strip, the terror organization began attacking Israel again by launching ballistic missiles and drones more than a dozen times at the Jewish state. The only ballistic missile the IDF failed to intercept was on Sunday, which struck a grove near a street within the perimeter of Ben Gurion Airport, leaving a massive crater in the ground and causing several injuries. Israeli officials vowed severe consequences to the terror group on Sunday. It's the first time in months the IDF has responded with force because the United States continues to launch a major aerial campaign against the terror group. Emily, overnight the IDF says they also struck targets in Lebanon, in Syria, and in Gaza in different operations.
Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli cabinet have given approval to the IDF's plan to expand its military operation in Gaza, pending results of the Middle East trip of U.S. President Trump at the end of next week. Details of the plan have emerged, and the results could be far-reaching. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz has the latest.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said the decision to escalate military operations followed the recommendation of IDF Chief Zamir. IDF Chief Zamir presented the plan to the cabinet and reportedly warned ministers that the operation could endanger the hostages held there. Officials said the plan would see the IDF take control of territory in Gaza after moving the civilian population toward the south, attack Hamas, and prevent it from taking control of humanitarian aid. The plan is gradual, with focus on a certain unspecified area of Gaza before expanding to other places. The fighting would be expected to last for months. Prime Minister Netanyahu said that the operation would be intensive.
והחלטנו על פעולה עצימה בעזה, זו הייתה המלצת הרמטכ"ל, ללכת, כפי שהוא אמר, להכרעה של החמאס, ובדרך הוא חושב שזה יסייע לנו גם לחלץ את החטופים, ואני מסכים איתו, אנחנו לא מרפים מהמאמץ הזה ולא נוותר על אף אחד. תהיה הנאה של האוכלוסייה כדי להגן עליה. דבר אחד יהיה ברור, לא ייכנסו ויצאו. נגייס מילואים כדי שיבואו יתפסו שטח, אנחנו יוצאים מהשטח, רק אנחנו עושים פשיטות ממה שנשאר, אנחנו לא שם. זו לא הכוונה.
אוקיי.
הכוונה הפוכה.
Finance Minister Smotrich said the army would conquer Gaza and hold captured territories.
אנחנו הולכים לכבוש את רצועת עזה סוף סוף, מפסיקים לפחד מהמילה כיבוש. אנחנו כובשים את רצועת עזה, מטהרים אותה, שולטים בכל השטחים שאנחנו נכנסים אליה. סוף סוף, אחרי שנה וחצי שאני צועק את זה בכתב בעל פה מעל כל בנה, משתלטים על הסיוע המוניטרי כדי שהוא לא יהפוך לאספקה לוגיסטית שמגיעה לחמאס. אנחנו מפרידים בין חמאס לאוכלוסייה ולסיוע המוניטרי, מחסלים אותו, מכריעים אותו, מכניעים אותו ומשיבים את החטופים. זו הדרך היחידה.
President Trump and Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff both made remarks on the ongoing war in Gaza. Both chose to stay away from encouraging the planned Israeli offensive. Speaking at an Israel Independence Day event hosted by the Israeli embassy in Washington, Witkoff described the occasion as bittersweet, while 59 hostages remain cruelly held by Hamas. He pledged that the Trump administration would work tirelessly this year so that next year will see a reality of peace, prosperity, and unity in Israel. U.S. President Trump declined to comment on the planned Israeli offensive, but repeated a U.S. pledge to help get food to Palestinian civilians in Gaza and placed the blame on Hamas.
We're going to help the people of Gaza get some food. People are starving, and we're going to help them get some food. A lot of people are making it very, very bad. If you look, Hamas is making it impossible because they're taking everything that's brought in. But we're going to help the people of Gaza because they're being treated very badly by Hamas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Well, joining us to discuss the IDF strategy in the region, as well as the situation in Israel and in Yemen, is Brigadier General Yosi Kuperwasser, the head of research at IDSF and the former head of the research division, of the IDF's Intelligence Corps. Brigadier General Kuperwasser, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you on. To start, I want to ask you your response to what we're seeing this afternoon from the IDF in Yemen.
Well, good afternoon. And what we're seeing is an effort by Israel to send a clear message to the Yemenites and through them to the rest of the people of the Middle East, and including Iran, that any attempt to hit strategic targets in Israel or any target is going to be very costly. And the fact that we carried out the second attack in Yemen means that we really mean business. And this is in the context of a wider approach of Israel of applying pressure in the different arenas that we are engaged with. And this effort is problematic. It takes a lot of pressure before you can reach the goals. So we applied pressure very successfully against Hezbollah. We do that with less success with Hamas, but we continue and we are mounting the pressure right now. We mount enough pressure that brought about the collapse of the Assad regime. We applied enough pressure to convince the Iranians to stop launching missiles towards us. And the Houthis are more problematic not to crack. So we have to apply even more pressure, and that's what we're doing right now.
Well, we see that the U.S. has been coordinating closely in regards to attacks on Yemen, both yesterday and initial reports of today. The U.S. also supporting these Israeli strikes on the Sana'a airport in Yemen. You mentioned that it's a harder nut to crack when it comes to deterring the Houthis. What does it take to defeat the Houthis when it comes to this conflict?
Well, first of all, it takes cooperation between Israel and the United States and the coalition that stands with the United States in fighting the effort of the Houthis to disrupt the maritime activity in the Red Sea and to stop them from launching missiles in our direction. And we have this cooperation. It's a very good cooperation. And most of the time, it's the Americans with their coalition that do the hard lifting in this context. But from time to time, we have to intervene, and we do that. And on top of that, I think what needs to be seen is some cooperation also from the Yemenite legal regime in Yemen and from the Arabs that are also playing a role in this context. Maybe the Saudis and the United Arab Emirates are going to join in supporting this effort. I hope that I guess this is one of the issues that is going to be raised by President Trump when he comes next week to the region. And joint effort in this respect may cause more damage to the Yemenites to the point that they might consider changing their policy. They are paying a very heavy price right now.
Absolutely. Well, the IDF did carry out strikes in at least 4 places in the past day: Syria, Yemen, Lebanon, and Gaza. Can Israel maintain this level of activity, especially in the event that Israel may need to take action against the Islamic Republic itself when it comes to their nuclear program?
We can maintain it. We have enough force. It's of course in some of the arenas we have to cooperate with the Americans, as I said, and we do. And when it comes to Iran specifically, I think that if we are going to carry out an attack on Iran because the negotiations are going to fail, The best thing to do would be to do it together with the Americans, because there are certain things that the Americans can do and we cannot. And but we have enough force to maintain fighting on all these arenas simultaneously. The ground forces are necessary in certain arenas, not in all of them. We don't use ground forces in Yemen, for example. We don't use ground forces vis-a-vis Iran. So we can use the ground forces in those arenas where we need them, especially in Gaza, but to some lesser extent in Syria and in Lebanon and, of course, in the Judea and Samaria area. We have enough forces, especially when we call up the reserves.
All right, well, we'll be following this story closely. Unfortunately, we are out of time today, but I want to thank you, Brigadier General Yosi Cooper-Wasser, for your insights today.
Thank you.
In a rapidly changing Middle East, Israel must stay ahead of emerging threats. What cutting-edge technologies will keep Israel safe? Brigadier General Professor Jacob Nagel reveals the bold strategies and breakthrough defense tech he recently recommended to Prime Minister Netanyahu in an exclusive security briefing from the American Technion Society.
Iran is weaker than ever, and someone has to take the opportunity doing something about it.
Visit ats.org/Nagel to watch the full briefing now.
Israel Bonds, the heartbeat of solidarity, the powerhouse of support. When the Israeli-Hamas war hit, Israel Bonds stood tall, proving we're more than just an investment, we're a lifeline. Israel Bonds pledges to ensure Israel thrives and flourishes. Investing in Israel Bonds isn't just a financial move, it's a declaration for resilience, strength, and a better future for Israel. Join us and let solidarity echo through generations.
Well, Israel and Ethiopia are moving towards strengthening military and economic ties. That's the word from Addis Ababa, where Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar met his Ethiopian counterpart, Gideon Timotheos. The two leaders vowed to deepen ties amid growing regional threats.
Terrorism is a common threat to our nations. Your fight against is Al-Shabaab, and it's critical. It threatens the stability of the Horn of Africa and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. Al-Shabaab collaborates with the Iran-backed Houthis. The Houthis launched hundreds of missiles and drones at Israel since October 7. Just yesterday, they hit near our airport with a missile. They are a threat to Israel, Africa, and the international community. Israel will respond.
We believe that there is an immense potential to expand our cooperation further, both in the economic and security fields. Terrorism is a threat both to Israel and Ethiopia, as well as the global community. So our continued and strengthened cooperation in this sector is very important to counter terrorism in the Horn of Africa and in the Middle East.
Well, as the IDF continues an offensive blitz against terror groups across the region, one place Israel spent months striking in the aftermath of the fall of the dictator Bashar al-Assad is Syria. Despite the new regime led by HTS under al-Jolani, already there have been massacres against ethnic and religious minorities in Syria as the nation faces more instability. Joining us to discuss these current events in Syria is Lebanese Syrian activist Rouan Osman. Rouan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on. Now, we've seen the IDF carry out these massive strikes in Syria, targeting any and pretty much all weapons or threats to the safety of Israel. But do al-Jolani and the affiliated jihadist groups have their sights set on Israel next?
Thanks, Emily. It's nice to see you. Unfortunately, the situation in Syria is extremely concerning. I have family in Damascus, and I was really happy to see Bashar al-Assad finally overthrown, because he is a monster. I wanted to believe at the beginning that whatever the rebels were up to was coordinated with the Israelis, or at least that they were aware that they have to be taking care of their own people because the world let the Syrian people down. Nobody's coming for your rescue. And now we are surprised to see what started with the Kurds at the beginning in the north, continued in Hama Homs against Sunnis and Christians. On the Syrian coast, we've seen something similar to October 7th happening to the Alawites. And now recently, what the Druze are facing in the south is unbelievable. I commend the courage of those who openly asked Israel for help, and I commend even more the Israelis for responding positively, for even treating some of the wounded. I do have to say that I've seen tens, if not hundreds of videos of jihadists who are vowing to come and liberate Al-Quds next. People chanting Khaybar, Khaybar, O Jews, the army of Muhammad started returning, which is a trend, a twist in the slogan that was popularized by Sheikh Ahmad Yassin towards the beginning of the first Intifada. This twist of the army of Muhammad began or started returning was made by Yusuf al-Qaradawi, who was considered even by his own country, Egypt, a terrorist and exile, and hosted, of course, in Doha.
I want to ask you about the Druze in Syria that you mentioned. I mean, Israel has gotten involved, as you mentioned, supporting them, supplying them, giving medical aid, and striking jihadists in the area. Why is it in Israel's interest, or is it, to defend these Druze communities? And do you think Israel should be doing more to defend some of these minority groups who are facing such tremendous persecution in the region?
I watched the responses of some Israelis when the Alawites were screaming help. And they said, I will never forget how the Alawites treated my father or my brother or my husband in the wars we had between Syria and Israel. But when it comes to the Druze, this tie, this bond between the Druze communities and the Jews started prior to Israel existing. The Druze were wise enough to understand that the Zionist organizations are coordinating and they would never kill one another. They observed the problems the Arabs were going through internally in the British Mandate of Palestine, and they bet on the right horse. Today, you have many officers, you have many Druze families in Israel who are sending their children to Gaza and to Lebanon to fight. They are loyal to this country, they're proud of their Israeli identity, and they have a religious obligation towards their Druze brethren wherever they are in the region. So it is the minimum expected that Israel will respond and they will go and save their brothers. Surprisingly, Emily, what is extremely disappointing is Jumblat, who is one of the biggest Druze leaders in Lebanon. He is condemning the Israeli intervention. A lot of crazy so-called experts in the Arab world, in the Arab media, are blaming Israel for what's happening to the Druze because they are intervening and meddling in what's happening. Dismissing all the concerns of the minorities, which is something undeniable. We already have at least hundreds of documented videos of what the jihadists are committing against the Druze and the Christians and the secular Muslims, etc.
Well, let's hope that the international community does step up beyond just the state of Israel and what they've done so far to protect the Druze. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I want to thank you, Rouan, for joining us today and shedding some important insight on what's going on inside of Syria. We'll be sure to have you on again. Thank you.
Thank you.
At one Tel Aviv engineering college, students are doing much more than hitting the books. From building rockets and electric cars, they're turning theory into real-world impact through student-led clubs, one project at a time. ILTV's Devo Klein has more.
At Acca Academic College of Engineering in Tel Aviv, students aren't just sitting in classrooms. They're building, leading, and creating both in and outside of the classroom. Among the opportunities are student clubs that bring learning to life through hands-on projects.
We wanted to allow students to do what they're learning in class practically, like hands-on.
Kimberly Edry founded the Electrical Engineering Club at Acca. She's one of many students leading extracurricular initiatives that are transforming campus life.
It started with something that I call the joy of learning. I want the student to enjoy the process of learning.
Acca President Professor Ami Moyal says the college now invites students each year to pitch club ideas that combine their personal passions with engineering.
They are coming here to receive their degrees, but there are other aspects that interest them. So, out of passion and curiosity, they are establishing clubs.
That support is driving a new energy on campus and shaping students for the real world.
extracurricular activity can give an answer to things we cannot do in the curriculum.
OFEC Centers for Skills Development emphasizes not just engineering and education, but developing well-rounded engineers. The program encourages students to apply theory and build soft skills like multidisciplinary teamwork, independence, effective communication, and resilience.
They learn how to fail and go again and try again, which is something very important for engineers.
That resilience shaped recent graduate Rim Ganim. She started Afeka's Space Club and grew it from a few dozen to over 200 students.
I want to send my own ideas to space. That's what I want to do in life. I want to do it to help people here on Earth. We have engineers to make this world a better place.
At Afeka, education doesn't stop at the classroom door. It launches students toward a future they're designing themselves.
And now in some sports news, Israeli Olympic judo medalist Orin Smaja caused big waves in the world of Israeli judo when he announced he was resigning from his role as the national team coach after 15 years in the position. ILTV's Devo Klein has all the details.
After a successful run at the 2024 Paris Olympics, where Israeli judo secured 2 silver and 1 bronze medal, the national team coach and Olympic medalist himself, Orin Smaja, announced that he was retiring from his position, which he held for 15 years. Smaja cited internal conflicts with senior officials at the Israeli Judo Association as the primary reason for his departure. On a post to social media, Smaja said he resigns with, quote, a heavy heart. In the post to his Instagram story, Smaja also reflected on his journey with the Israeli Olympic team, winning a bronze medal at the 1992 Olympics and later coaching some of Israel's most successful judokas. Throughout his tenure, Smaja led the team to unprecedented achievements, making his departure a great loss for the Israeli judoka community.
ILTV is proud to feature Blessed by Israel, a company that partners with small business owners and families in Judea and Samaria. Each product reflects a deep connection to the land and is crafted with care, purpose, and authenticity. When you choose these products, you're helping support those working hard to build a future in Israel's heartland. Let's take a closer look at Blessed by Israel and the meaningful work they're doing.
As the world moves to boycott Israel, the people working to restore life to the biblical heartland face daily challenges. Blessed by Israel offers a simple way to support these efforts by bringing unique and beautiful products from Judea and Samaria directly to you. From the hilltops of God's land to your home, you can find exceptional items crafted by families and small businesses in the heart of Israel. With U.S.-based warehouses, Blessed by Israel ensures affordable prices and fast delivery. Choose from a range of products, including skincare, artisan flowers and foods, olive oil, tahini, honey, and much more. There are many great options for giving wonderful gifts to your loved ones. Visit blessedbyisrael.com to explore these products and discover the inspiring stories behind them. Scan the QR code on your screen to take part in fulfilling God's prophecies.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Partly cloudy skies and showers are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of 16 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see clear skies alongside hot temperatures, seeing highs of 28 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Emily Schrader. Be well, and thank you for watching.
Experience the power of truth with ILTV News. If you're looking for quality content and captivating visuals, join our news community and become an integral part of our team as we embark on a mission to unveil the real Israel, dismantling the web of lies and misinformation that surround reporting on Israel. By subscribing to ILTV News, you will not only have access to the latest updates, but you will also amplify our message, creating a ripple effect that carries the truth far and wide. Subscribe today and help reshape the narrative. Available on the web, Android, and Apple.